Bradbury didn't really write about us, but it's starting to feel like he did write about us. Fahrenheit 451 does a very great job at talking about what we're currently experiencing, and is a great example of what's going on in our current society. And they said that this book is supposed to be about firemen burning books, but I feel like it's about the public not reading them. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shanera, but if you're not, welcome back. And this video is going to be about Fahrenheit 451 and me reading it, and pretty much talking about how Fahrenheit 451 is very similar to what we are currently dealing with in this society, how we are stepping away from reading books and nobody's reading them anymore because everybody's too focused on scrolling on their phone and just getting constant dopamine rushes instead of actually critically thinking about the things that we are inputting into our brain and actually having like conscious thoughts about them and having opinions that aren't going to be the same as everyone else's. So that's what today's video is going to be about. So Fahrenheit 451 is set in a futuristic city in America. He does not disclose what the name of the city is, so you can just assume that it's like futuristic. I would say it's very similar to, what's that show? The Jetsons. I would say that it's like that, and they're pretty much everything is just completely futuristic. Everything is technology based. There's nothing that have to critically use their mind to actually do something. The book follows Guy Montag, who is our main character, who is a fireman. The only reason that he is a fireman is because his dad was one and his grandfather was one, and they both died doing what firemen do in this world, which is burning books. So you're not allowed to have any books in your possession, because if you do, it's considered a crime. And what the firemen, someone will basically rat on you that you have a book. So pretty much people are just being tattletales and then being like, we're gonna call firemen and they're gonna come and burn your book. And then once they burn it, they essentially send you to jail for however many books you have. And if you have so many, then it's just like a horrible crime. But firemen are allowed to have the books, and I found this interesting, and I'll talk about this later. They're allowed to have them, but they can only have them for a certain amount of time, and then they have to turn themselves in, and then they like get a pass. But if you're a common everyday citizen, you do not get that pass. So Guy Montag is, like I said, our protagonist. He's the person that we see, who we're reading through. He is telling us everything that he sees and feels, because this book is based in third person and written in third person, so we only know what he tells us and what he sees. It sounds scary when I put it like that, but I promise you, you can actually trust him, and he's not just a narrator that's unreliable. But he's a fireman. He loves his job. He loves his wife. He thinks he's really happy, and he thinks he loves the life that he's currently living, and that is not the case. He meets this girl named Clarice, who is 17 years old. She's really young, and she basically starts questioning him about whether or not he's happy. Does he actually like the job he has? Does he like the life that he has? Do you actually think for yourself? Do you take a minute to actually sit down and actually smell the roses, look at the sky, look at the billboards, read the thing, watch the TV shows, and actually have critical thoughts about them and not just go with what they tell you? And he pretty much gets offended by this, and then he starts thinking about it, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there. He starts like pestering his wife about it. She starts being like, why are you asking these questions? Have you lost your mind? And he starts asking Beatty, who is his captain, about like, you know, whether or not he is like, this is what the life we should be living. And I find Guy Montag being, I would say, a great representation of what Gen Z is. Gen Z has always been told that we are supposed to be the generation to change everything and make everything better, but we have to believe in the ideals that were instilled in us by our parents. So then when you don't believe those ideals, then essentially you are fighting society, and that is how you come up with a character like Clarice. She's 17. She lives in a family that actually sits in their living room and has discussions about different things. They actually read books and talk about stuff. And she doesn't go to school either. She doesn't go to school because the teachers basically didn't like the fact that she was actually trying to learn and not just do the things that they were like, just go play PE, we're gonna watch a movie, and then you go home. Sounds like the most ideal thing you would want for school, but for me, a true learner, a true girl with 2 degrees, that doesn't seem like fun for me, because what's the purpose of me going to school if I'm not learning nothing? But I digress. Montag does a great job of showing how one person can really change your perspective on everything. And that's honestly all it really takes. A lot of time, it takes one person, one video, one movie, one book to completely change your thought process and make you think of things differently. And that's how you start deconstructing things. It doesn't have to be deconstructing of just religion or society or education. It can be deconstructing of anything. It can be deconstructing of your beliefs and what is actually actually morality and what's not morality. And it's weird to see a character, a white man specifically, have to think about his actions and realize that maybe the life that he's living is not the life he wants. Now, his wife, Mildred, she's not a villain. I wouldn't say she's a villain, but I wouldn't say she's an she's a protagonist either. She doesn't know what she wants. She doesn't. She has no idea what she wants. She just does whatever someone else tells her to do, and that's it. She don't want to listen. She just want to dance. Y'all don't want to hear me, you just want to dance. And she doesn't like that Montag is essentially trying to make her think. Like, she's worried about getting like this parlor wall that has like a TV that goes from corner to corner, and it just has nothing but the TV on there. And then she's like, well, you need to make more money, and then we can do that because all of our neighbors have that, and we need to have that too. Consumerism. If someone else has it, they're gonna do whatever they have and whatever they can do to get you to buy that product, even though you probably don't need it. And then you're gonna go and try to make all this money to buy this one product that you're probably never gonna use again, or probably use at all. Probably not gonna know how to use it, or you don't want to use it, or you don't want to learn how to use it. So she's a great example of consumerism and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and taking all these things in and having a dopamine rush, but then not actually soaking in all the information that she's receiving. That sounds familiar, right? Sounds like TikTok, huh? Sounds like Instagram, huh? I would say YouTube, but lots of people don't even have the attention span to sit through a 30-minute video. Sometimes a 10-minute video, because they're going to put it in 2 times speed or 4 times speed. I say that out loud because I do the exact same thing. If they're taking too long, it gets to the point. But it's because our attention spans have been ruined with consumerism and having instant gratification and getting instant dopamine rushes. So now we meet Faber. So he's a great example of the older generation. I could say like Gen Alpha, maybe even millennials. He's a professor. He was a person that once taught books and taught classes, English classes specifically. And he actually owns a bunch of books in his house, but he has them put away so that no one knows. And he pretty much lays low and creates a low profile so that he doesn't seem like he has books. He ends up helping Guy Montag understand the books that he's reading that he ends up stealing from this lady's house that ends up getting burned up with her book. And he basically tells him, hey, I know someone that can make copies of this, and then we can burn them and you won't have to worry about having to turn yourself into the fireman. Faber is what you would call the coward, because you have a lot of people that are in the older generation that stand with Gen Z and they want us to, you know, break the traditions, break the molds, create something new, create something better. They don't want to put themselves out there because they're like, well, I don't know if this is going to work out. This seems a little bit unstable. This isn't going to work. And it's like, you don't know until you try. But it's the fear of trying because they've been conditioned to not try. They've been conditioned to follow the rules because the rules were set in place so that nothing else falls out of place. What does that sound like? Propaganda. What does that sound like? Control. Censorship. They all run together, and we're currently dealing with those things now, and not just in America, but all other countries as well. And finally, we have Beatty, who is our fireman captain. He pretty much is, I would say he's a straightforward character. I don't think there's anything complex about him or confusing. He's a hypocritical character because he's read the books, he memorized books, he understands what they mean, and he knows that if other people also know what they mean, then that means they have power. That means they have control, and they can actually do whatever they want to because they have the consciousness to do it. So I'm going to do whatever I can to manipulate them so that they won't think that books are important and that actually watching TV shows and watching movies and listening to music is going to be better. He's read the books. He probably owns books in his own place, but then goes around burning other people's hard work and, you know, livelihoods and all that things and ending their lives and sending them to jail. Who's that sound like? I wonder who. But if I said that out loud, then I'd be wrong. He does end up dying, so it doesn't matter. And I was very happy when he did. Now, when I read this book, I read this back in high school, my sophomore year. And I loved it then, but I love it even more now as an adult, as someone who's 25. And I find it very interesting because when I read this book the first time, I was 15. I was either 15 or 16, and I'm 25, about to turn 26. So 10 years later, I'm reading this book again, and I'm actually living through the things that is happening in this book. We are being told that reading books are considered wrong because they want to condition us to think something different. If you've read any of Ray Bradbury's books, you would know that he was ahead of his time. All of his books relate back to what we are currently going through in our society now. Hence why Fahrenheit 451 is banned. It's banned for a reason, because they know that people have knowledge when they read books. Doesn't matter if you're reading a book that's fiction, nonfiction, self-help, poetry, creative nonfiction, an essay, academic essay, it doesn't matter what it is. Brain learns something new because you learn different perspectives from different people. Even if you're reading a novel about a, let's say, Korean main character, she's female. Whoever is writing that book, typically if it's the same race, they're gonna write about things of their custom to their culture and their race. So then you're gonna learn things about that culture that you would have never known if you would have never picked up the book. Because you're not gonna insightfully go and look for something that you're not interested in. But if you have another gateway to that and you get to read it, I'm not saying you're gonna learn something, because you're not just reading it just to read it. You're retaining some form of information from that book. So you might as well enjoy it. You might as well learn. And what's the worst thing that a person could do in a society that's trying to be controlled? Learn and have thoughts of your own. You have thoughts of your own. Now we can talk about the parallels with these characters. And I said before, like with Mildred, she's a dopamine addict. She loves the endless scrolling. And we have people that are like that now. I'm now on a journey of trying to fix my addiction to my phone. I'm trying to stop scrolling as much and taking in a bunch of content. As someone who avidly hated TikTok when it first came out in 2019, and then eventually I got my own account, I've been scrolling non-lessly for 6 years. And there once was a time I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, because there was other people that were also having the problem, the same thing, and they didn't also think that it was wrong. I'm now 26 and I can't even watch through YouTube videos like I used to, because TikTok has conditioned my brain that the video must be a minute long in order for me to like it. And if it's not a minute long, then I have the option to speed it up 2 times and hope that I can understand it. That's a problem. And that's why they were making them burn the books, because you burn the books and you don't have a thing that can help you get your attention span back. That's why when people say that it's not possible for you to get it back, you can. You just have to retrain yourself so that you don't. And I wrote this down. It's a great way to explain this. We don't need the government to burn books if we've already replaced our brains with dopamine loops. That's a mouthful in itself. You don't need to burn the books, because you're not going to want to pick up the books, because they're not going to give you the rush that you want. But if you already read books and it's something that does give you a dopamine rush, you're going to want to read the book more. So whatever you put your time and effort into, you're more than likely going to go back to that thing like a drug, because that's what you're conditioned to do. Now, when we go to Captain Beatty, he's a great representation of our political government, but he's a hypocrite. And most of them are. Some of them are not, but most of them are. But you have to be willing to acknowledge that. When people go, oh, you're a Democrat. No, I'm a person that just wants stuff done right. I just want people to have human rights. I want people to have access to the things that they should have access to. Be able to have access to healthcare. You should be able to have access to buying groceries, going out to eat, having a house. All of those things should be basic human rights, and you shouldn't matter based off your skin color, race, or gender. So if you don't agree with any of those things, you might as well get gone. You might as well leave. But what I said about this, and it's gonna dip this in the bud, the most dangerous book burner is the one who has read the books and decided you aren't smart enough to handle them. That's exactly what's currently happening with our society. People are being told not to go to school because college degrees are not useful if you don't make enough money in a certain amount of time, which means that if you go to school and you get said degree, if you don't make XY amount, then your degree is null and void. But you still want me to pay my loans that I have, but you don't want me to go to school. The math is not mathing. It doesn't make any sense. But when you say it out loud, then you're the problem. Control means everything, and control is a very good big thing in this book, because they talk about war and how all these people are fighting, and they don't even know why they're fighting. They just know that they're fighting. And that's exactly what's happening here. People are being bombed and people are being invaded, but no one actually knows why. They're just doing it because of control, because they feel that they're smarter than them, that they can do whatever they want. Control. And then our last connection that I'm going to make here is with Faber. It's just that silentness. It's like, oh, you care, but then you're not doing anything to show that you care. The people that don't vote, the people that don't educate, the people that don't go and look at stuff, they just read whatever and then go with whatever. It's like seeing fake news and then just going with it and running with it. It's the same concept. And like I wrote for this one, Faber is the warning for 2026. Silent in the face of censorship is the same as lighting the match. You are playing the same game as the person that's trying to control the narrative. If you don't do anything and actually show that you care, everything is going to continuously stay the same. So until you make a change and want to stand on the right side of the history, you will continuously always be on the bad side, because you are complicit in everything that's going on and being silent. And this goes to say that not everybody has to be very vocal about what they want to be a part of. There are different ways that you can, advocate for certain things. You can go and protest, you can go and write, you can wear clothing that you can even not support a certain thing. And that shows that you actively are trying to do something. Everyone's version of protesting or educating or advocating is going to be different. Like for me, I am not a protester because I know that my life could be in danger at any time. But I do use my writing and my poetry as a way to advocate and educate. But I also spend a lot of my time educating others on Black history and how to be a good ally and how to do the different things, and reading the diverse books and reading people who do not look like you. Because as somebody who always read books, I have had to constantly read books that were written about white women and I look nothing like them. It got to the point where I had started to want to be white because I was reading the books that were about white people. And now I'm consciously reading books that are by Black women and Black people, and hoping that one day I will become one of those writers that other people will also read and want to be like. Now, we're gonna pivot a little bit and we're gonna talk about some specific things that are in the book. We have the mechanical hound, who essentially follows Montag after he commits all of the crimes that he does, which is, you know, having the books, killing his work, like his his crew, and then killing his boss, and then he like goes on like a run. So the mechanical hound basically is like trying to find him using his scent, and basically being trained to search for these certain things. What does that sound like? It sounds like algorithms, huh? It sounds like them listening to the stuff that's on your phone, and then you'll watch a video that's about exactly what you had just talked about, and you're trying to figure out how on God's green earth does my phone know that I was just talking about going to go buy underwear? Because you're being listened to. You're being listened to. That's why. Mechanical hound is a great example of that. And that's what we're dealing with AI now. AI is being trained to recognize certain patterns that we have, so then it can also have those same patterns and imitate what we are. Look at what's happening with the spam calls. People are calling you and then you answer, they're recording your voice, and then before you know it, your voice is somewhere sitting around an AI database. Then you have the caller walls that I talked about earlier. Short form content, just being accessible and being right there. It's right there in your face, so you don't have a choice but to look at it. Look at all of the platforms that exist now. They're pushing you short form content because they want you to be able to look at something quickly, take it in, and then move on to the next thing. And then before you get to the next thing, you've already forgotten about what you watched beforehand. Then we have the book burning, which is just active destruction. If you burn something, then you don't have any more evidence of it. Look at all the things that are being removed and laws that are being taken away because they're trying to rewrite our history so that people don't know about certain things. Because if you don't have physical evidence, then you don't have online evidence. Hence why people are pushing for physical media and having your own copies. And then we have the loss of critical thinking. People don't read anymore. People don't understand things, and you can read and lack comprehension skills. Hence why I say, yeah, it's cool to read all those books, but at least be able to tell people about the books and what you read. Don't say that you read the book and then you can't tell anybody about it, because at that point, then you're lacking comprehension and critical thinking skills. Be able to retain the information that is in the books and read them. This is why a lot of people, when they read this book, they go, oh, it was kind of boring and it has really good prose in it, but like the prose was just a bunch. That's the point. That's the whole point. You're so used to reading books that are filled with dialogue that you can't even read a book that has beautiful prose in it because you haven't been trained to. So, you know, there's that. Now, what are some ways that you can help combat this book fiasco that's happening of people reading books and people being upset about it and wanting to start your own book journey and figuring out how you want to be a part of this? One, go get you a library card. That's the best place to start. One, because they're being defunded, and that's not good. Libraries are used for very different reasons. They do a lot of volunteer work in your local city or wherever you live. They also help a lot of people who are homeless and don't have anywhere else to go. Or if you don't have certain resources at your home, you know, like you can always go to the library and go there and get it done. This is also where a lot of people can go. You also get a library card and you can save money from buying all these books. We have gotten so used, like I said, to overconsumerism of going out and going to Barnes & Nobles and going to Books A Million and Amazon and Kindle and Nook and buying all these books and feeling like you have to keep up with other booktubers, book talkers, and bookstagrammers, and you have to have a library full of books. No, go get books. I just got 7 books that I plan on reading for the next month. And then if I end up liking all those books, then I will go and buy them. But I will buy them in my own time because I know that I've already read them. So then I have my own copy of them. This helps them out a lot because now you're constantly going and getting books. And you don't have to go all the way to the library. You sign up, go pick your card up, and then you can use your phone and you can find books, put them on hold, go pick them up. And then if you need to extend your loan, you can do it from your phone or you can call them and then you go take the books back. It's so simple. Another way that you can help this is donating to any like GoFundMe's or like fundraisers that are happening to keep bookstores alive or keep libraries from shutting down. This is really great. And also funding your school. If you're an alumni of any school, if you can give back to them, if you have the money, please do, especially for arts and humanities, because those are most of the programs that are being shut down. So then they lose their funding for those things, especially people who are writers. Lots of times English programs and creative writing programs get shut down because they're not going out and actually trying to recruit people to come and join the program, and they get a lot of their funding cut. As someone who literally has their master's in writing, wish I was making this up. And then the last thing is just you can also start your own book club. There are plenty of different things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be like a social media based thing. You can start a reading book club with friends, and that's a great way to have reliability and accountability, because then you have other people reading the same thing as you. They don't even have to be reading the same thing. They could just be reading something else. You're going to enjoy it a lot more when you're reading with somebody. If there's a will, there's a way. Now, would I reread Fahrenheit 451 again? Yes. I would love to reread it again, maybe in 10 years, to see how my thoughts would change, see how society has changed. I know this video is probably going to be silenced, and I don't really care because I have to say what I have to say. This is probably one of my favorite Ray Bradbury books that I've read. The other one that I like is called The Veil, and I read it last year, and it was really great too. It was a short story. All of his books are great. Please go read them if you can. Go buy them. This is the 60th anniversary edition, so it actually talks about how he came up with the books, how he writes, and true origin of it. I didn't read that. I just read the book because I just wanted to reread it and debrief and talk about the book and how it connects to what we are, because this play was written about us. He must have had to been a psychic, because that's the only thing I can think of. Ray Bradbury had to be a psychic and know that this is where we were heading towards. I don't know what could have possibly been going on back in 1940. Well, World War II was happening. Yeah, World War II was happening. So that's probably what inspired this book. Lots of times when you read a lot of dystopian books, they're inspired by what's currently happening in society. Hence why we have Hunger Games. Hence why we have Divergent and The Maze Runner. They are inspired by what's happening in our current society. And if you read them correctly, lots of times you can see the digs that are being taken and what's actually happening. So this is all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was in a different area this time. I went to a park. Felt like that was really great. It was a different type of scenery. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I want to say thank you to all the people who have subscribed from my last video. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I really do. It means a lot for someone who's been doing YouTube for a long time. And like I said, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment. I actually will leave a comment down there so you guys can reply to, and we can have some more conversations about this. And I'll have some links down below on places you can donate and getting your library card, and ways that you can buy books super cheaper and not having to go to places like Barnes and Noble and all these places and spend a pretty penny on buying books. Because who wants to do that? I surely don't, if I don't have to. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys all so much for the support. And remember to choose happy and be happy. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.